Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golick look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Glad you're with us on a Thursday morning. Golick and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We'll have Tim Kirkshin coming up in just a little bit, talk about the new Hall of Fame class in 2018. Stu Gotts will join us in the 8 o'clock hour, and Todd McShay will be by in the 9 o'clock hour to talk about things going on at the Senior Bowl. But, Mike, as we continue to do this show together, we find that we have more in common than we think. We were just talking before we came back from the break about your impending trip to South Africa. Which I think is awesome. I love the fact that you're taking the whole family and you're going to go travel. I love doing that with our family, too. And then we got into the fact that, you're going to be flying and you're going to Heathrow. And we came through this conversation that there's nothing better than a hot shower.
Yes, a hot shower.
Yeah.
All that talk boiled down to the fact that they'll love a hot shower.
A hot shower. I mean, because when you fly through Heathrow, they have this lounge where if you've been there and you've been on an overnight flight and you feel like garbage, you can go in and take a hot shower.
Yeah.
And that changes everything.
And just for the fact that there's a shower at an airport says, I just want to take a shower because I can shower.
Right? You do it just to do it.
I mean, you just feel better.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I'm not sure if there's anything better. You can have a crappy day, whatever. You get in there and you turn on like scalding hot water, and I like it really hot.
Yeah.
Are you the same way? I mean, lukewarm, no. I turn it up.
I don't want my skin to peel.
I want it to be close to peel.
Yeah, I'm not that close.
Yeah.
Not that close.
Like put like good 108, 109.
Well, that's hot. So for those of you that think in the breaks that we're just really dissecting things on where we're going to go next, couldn't be further from the truth.
It's usually about food and hot showers.
Yeah, hot showers.
So there you go. The hot shower is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
It is very nice.
One of the greatest
inventions. It just makes you feel really good.
You feel good about it. So, wait, Devin's saying he wouldn't take the shower? You wouldn't do it?
I mean, they better be providing sandals for your feet. I don't know if I'm.
Do you think we're slumming it? Come on, really?
You're the dirt. You think it's going to be dirty and dingy in there? I mean, is that where you're going?
That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
All right. I mean,
just give me some sandals. I'll be good.
Okay, sandals. Fine. You get sandals.
I think it's funny that he says a shower would be dirty.
Yeah,
me too.
Not only that, but like, go buy a pair of $3 flip-flops.
And here's my thought: I'm standing in the shower.
Out loud.
The water's running in the shower. What do I need sandals for? I walk on the floor. I mean, I don't
quite. And by the way, in the shower, just so you know, everything tends to fall down. That would include the soap and the shampoo, which would disinfect the floor that you're standing on.
Yeah.
Devin, do you live in like a plastic bubble?
Yes, slumming it right now.
When you leave the studio, do you wrap yourself in bubble wrap and go to the car with oven mitts on so you don't touch anything?
Bubble boy, right?
Are you a germaphobe?
I'm bubble boy.
Are you a germaphobe?
No.
All right. Well, then
so in your own home where you live, do you wear sandals walking to and from the shower?
No, but there's not millions of people that travel through my home either.
Okay, that's fair.
Can we just? Look what we. This is our fault.
It's our fault.
This is our fault.
Nobody blame but the guys in the mirror.
We did this.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're going to make that change.
Let's do it.
So let's start.
Hit a button.
Yeah. Pick a sound effect.
Hit any button. We'll do anything.
Anything that doesn't say Devin shower noises. We'll
Take
move
the
on.
microphone away from Devin.
Stop that now. All right. What's trending? Chipper Jones, Jim Thome, Vlad Guerrero, Trevor Hoffman, all elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Jones and Thome make it in their first year of eligibility. Add in Guerrero and Hoffman. It marks just the fourth time that the Baseball Writers Association of America has elected 4 players in 1 year.
Yeah, congrats to them. And also the Veterans Committee put in Jack Morris and Alan Trammell, so they'll be going in as well. So a great class going in. And again, a quick class by the standards. Chipper and Thome both in their first year, Vlad in his second, and Trevor Hoffman in his third year. So all of them, great. When Timmy Kirkshin was running through them on the 6 last night, it was just to
relive, no notes, by the way.
Relive it all again. That's the beauty, especially depending on the age you are and following baseball. If you don't know about these guys, you're going to get to find out a lot about them and what they've done. And one of the things I'm interested in talking to Timmy Kirkshin about is kind of the specialty positions, the closer, the DH. Edgar Martinez was about 20 votes short, and my thought is, we go through this in the NFL with kickers, punters. There's no pure special teams player.
There's only one punter in the Hall of Fame.
It took forever for Ray Guy to get
2
in the Hall
pure
of Fame.
kickers.
So my thought is it a position on the field
Yeah.
Why shouldn't it be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I agree.
Why shouldn't it be?
There should be a special teams sort of honorary thing in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Listen,
Steve Tasker comes to mind. Devin Hester.
But even in baseball, I'm talking about a DH. That's part of baseball, right?
It is.
Somebody is a DH. If you're one of the greatest ever, why shouldn't you be recognized for that? For a closer, why? And Trevor is recognized for that. Only one better in Mariano Rivera, but to have that conversation of, well, yeah, it's a Hall of Fame, it's that sport, but that position, that's a position in the sport. Pick a sport and pick a position and say, if you're the best at it, why shouldn't you be recognized in that sports museum / Hall of Fame? Because that's what a Hall of Fame is. It's in a museum.
Totally agree.
I never understood, the whole punter thing. And Ray Guy, are you kidding me? Changing field position
he flipped so many games.
If they're not
Raiders.
important, why do you have the position? Why are you doing it?
Right.
So if you have the position, recognize the position when you have the best at it.
To that point with Edgar Martinez, he came up just 20 votes.
20 votes.
297 out of the 317. But by the way, he did start his career as a third baseman and won an American League batting title, but then he tore his hamstring.
Right.
And then had to go the other way. Look, he was maybe the best that ever was as far as a designated hitter. And what the vote is telling you, which is really interesting, Mike, and we'll get into this with Timmy a little later, they're more likely to put a DH in than they are someone that is has the label of
oh, absolutely. Edgar Martinez is going to get in next year. It's 20 votes short. I mean, most people, again, we'll ask Timmy, think that he's got a great shot to get in next year, but Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are well short of what they need to get in, and they have 4 more attempts at this. So good conversation with Timmy coming up in a bit.
Again, just by the numbers, we said Edgar 20 votes short. Roger Clemens only got 242 of the 317 needed, and Barry Bonds 238, just slight upticks from the previous year. We continue. I don't know if this is Kyrie Irving talking about his team or making a veiled reference to another team. The Celtics huddled Monday in Los Angeles to discuss their struggles and work together to overcome one of the first rough patches of the season. They ended their 4-game losing streak after a team meeting, and then Kyrie said, this team meeting, Mike, really helped our squad.
Really helped the squad. I mean, seriously. I mean, come on.
What else could he be referring to there?
Cleveland having that, obviously, their big team meeting where the gist of it seemed to be, let's throw darts at Kevin Love here and see where this goes. And then they promptly went out against the Spurs and really looked awful at times in that game and lost yet again. To the point where before that meeting, Ty Lue, their head coach, said we're not going to make any lineup changes. And after that meeting and then that poor performance against San Antonio said we are going to make some changes. He thought, if you're going to start talking the talk in the meeting, you better walk the walk, and they didn't. So he said some changes. And for the Celtics, they had a meeting and then they won. So come on.
Yeah.
In this day and age, man, you think maybe that's the cynic in all of us, that you think they're trolling somebody else first, more than just talking about their team and staying, in their lane. Everybody's seen. We always kind of think, so they're weaving into somebody else's lane. Oh man, he said this, but you know what he really meant. So that's a thought that Kyrie Irving was really kind of trolling the Cavs and saying, look, we had a meeting, we came out of it, and we won. You guys had a meeting, and you still stink.
Well, you're right. I think that there's part of it that's cynical, but when you look at Kyrie and what he's done on his Instagram and everything else, it's pretty easy to connect those dots.
2 and 2 does equal 4 just about every time you do it, right?
I mean, if somebody else had said it, then maybe not so much. But knowing the history and the things he's put out there on Instagram already, it's kind of easy to put this one together. But hey, the Celtics got their things figured out.
Yes, they did.
And that's all that matters to Kyrie. Maybe. And then there's this. We're still a ways away from the Super Bowl, but Gronk officially listed with a concussion on the Patriots' initial Super Bowl injury report, which means it's really not up to anybody but the doctors to decide whether or not he'll be healthy enough to go in Super Bowl 52 a week from this coming Sunday.
How about the Belichick exchange and the presser with
classic.
With somebody that was asking about Gronkowski and the report, and does he think he's going to play? And the classic Bill Belichick, it'll be on the report. We'll tell you, you'll be. But then it got a little. You'll be the first to know. We'll make sure you're the first to know. Definitely got a little chippy there.
It makes me wonder because when it gets to conference championship time or late in the playoffs, maybe even end of the divisional round, reporters that aren't normally around show up for some of these things. And Bill knows who the regulars are.
Yes, he does.
And then he knows who, for lack of a better term, the interlopers are.
Right.
That don't cover, hey, it's a big deal. You go down, we're going to cover this. And I don't know who that reporter was.
Well, he called him by name, so I have a feeling it's one of the guys.
Okay.
I believe he did call him by name during it. So
well, the name he mentioned was Stacy, who was Stacy James, who's the PR director for the Patriots.
Oh, okay.
He was saying, say, Stace, make sure he's the first.
Oh, okay. All right. My bad.
I don't know who it was, but I got the feeling that where's he been all year? One of those things. We've been doing this for 18 weeks now, and you're showing up now. I could be totally wrong, but that's the sense I got from
the bottom line with Rob Gronkowski is just what Trey said, and this is where we are, and it's a good place to be in the NFL as we're learning more and more about head injuries. Is don't let the player decide, don't let the coach decide. Bill Belichick will go on coaching the teams on the practice field that can practice. And you know when he'll worry about Rob Gronkowski is when the medical staff comes to him and say Rob Gronkowski is cleared to play. Until that happens, he will prepare to play without him. Now, I think Gronk, I think most people believe because you have the 2 weeks, the week in between, that Gronkowski will be ready to play by the Super Bowl. But this is where we are now, and I absolutely think it's the right place. Don't even give the coach a chance to worry about this. Prepare like he's not there. Other guys are getting the reps. You look how well they adjusted without Gronkowski in the second half of that, where the passes were going to Amendola. They still come back and they win that game after almost force-feeding Gronkowski in the first half. So you just prepare like he's not there until you're told he can be there. That's the beauty of this. There's no, banging the drum on, we're not going to have him. How is he today? You just have to wait for the okay.
Yep. And that's the way it should be. And that's the whole point of the concussion protocol to begin with. But I want to be fair about something else too. Bill is an equal opportunity scoffer.
Yes, he is.
He is. Like, for example, I think he really respects our Patriots reporter, Mike Reese.
Who's there all the time.
He's awesome. Mm-hmm. And so at yesterday's press conference, you want me to send? Okay. Mike Reese was asked a very good question. He's like, he was asking him a question about something that hasn't happened in all their Super Bowls.
Bill, in the Super Bowls in the past, you guys haven't scored in the first quarter.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Sorry to remind you.
Yeah.
But how?
All the negative stuff in the Super Bowls we need to be aware of too.
How much do you look at that history and this week and say, do something?
We try to score in every game. I know that's probably hard to understand, but we try to go out and score and keep the other team from scoring. That's our goal every game.
We're trying to score every game. I know that's probably hard to understand.
Look, you can hate him all you want, but he's the best at that.
Here's my thought.
He's the best at that.
Here's my thought, and Mike Reese at some point, I'm sure we'll talk to him, will be a good one to ask because he's there all the time. In trying to think, that would be my thought process if I'm not there a lot, or even if I am, is try and ask somebody like that a question that, you know what you do? You get a question in mind and you're trying to think of all the different ways that he can answer the question that can make me look bad.
Right.
So you try and think of a question that you want a good question.
Right.
And one that he actually answers. My thought process is keep the question short and to the point, so he can't kind of interrupt you through the question and say, the things that he said there. And man, you really want to get a question that he just answers and doesn't poo-poo. And then you feel like you've won.
That's a victory.
That would be my only goal sitting in there with him, is not actually getting the information I'm seeking, but to get an answer to a question without being kind of minorly or majorly put down or ridiculed.
Well, look, there's a philosophy that we've adhered to at ESPN for a lot of years. We had a guy that his whole thing was to tell you how to ask questions.
Yes.
And ask how and why and what questions, not close-ended, open-ended questions. But I'm not sure anything would work against Bill. Teddy Bruschi will always tell us he's a lot funnier than you think he is. And I think he's right when just the way he answered that question. I don't know if you heard this. We try and score in every game.
Just the way he does it,
we try and stop the other team from scoring. He could have said anything. He did that with a little
Yeah, he definitely did.
Because he could.
Yeah, because he could.
And it's great.
And that going in as well, kind of what you're going to get from him. But that would be, boy, if I could ask a question, get some info and not have, a short answer that doesn't give me anything, boy, I feel like a huge win.
Again, and Mike's the best.
Yeah.
And he had to know, okay, I'm probably going to open myself up to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes Reeser awesome. By the way, Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive with more than 30 unique coverage options available. Progressive knows small business. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. And it would be really progressive if somehow, some way, that guy, Tiger, that has won at Torrey Pines 8 times in his career, including a U.S. Open, his last major in 2008, could be a little bit of that guy this year when he takes to the field tomorrow, or today, rather, today, 1:40 Eastern time on his first ever PGA sanctioned round since this event last year. It's been a long time coming for Tiger. We saw him come back and play pretty well in his own tournament in the Bahamas, the Hero World Challenge, where he had 3 rounds in the 60s. I think he finished 8 under par for the tournament, had a 75 on Saturday, kind of blew up. But when you saw him there at his tournament in December, he looked like he was swinging freely and without pain for the first time. And that was the first thing you wanted to see with Tiger. Sure. Because before, when he was swinging the driver, it always felt tense and always felt like he was holding back and protecting against that back pain that has been the real bugaboo for him over the last couple of years. So that's the best thing we saw there. He played a practice round yesterday at Torrey Pines. He shot 2 under par. He said it was a little frustrating, but even after that round, he says he knows where the expectation meter is.
My expectations have tempered a little bit because I haven't played. And, you know, when I came back off my ACL injury in 2008 and started playing in 2009, it was 9 months. But I had been playing a full schedule prior to that. Here, I haven't played a full schedule since 2015. It's been a long time. And to be honest with you, I just want to start playing on the tour and get into a rhythm of playing a schedule again. I haven't done that in such a long time, so I don't know what to expect. You know, I just go out there and just play, and I'm going to grind it, give it everything I possibly have, try and put my ball in the right position, make some putts, and try and work my way up the board.
In hearing that, it for those of us that lived through, especially professionally covering it, the Tiger Woods era, when he basically was like, "Yeah, I'm going out there to win. Right, go out there to win. And everybody, good luck." It was like Larry Bird at the NBA 3-point shooting contest. Who's playing for second? You knew a lot of times he showed up, he was going to win. Yeah. And now the reality of being 42 years old and hasn't played a full season since 2015, and back injuries are the worst. Our buddy Mark Schlereth, who had 29 surgeries in his career, said, "I would trade 15 more knee surgeries to avoid the one back surgery." On the back, because that's one that gets a lot of players. So he knows where he is, and he knows what the expectations are. The rest of us are just hoping for one more hit. Well, you really are. One more hit of the Tiger Woods greatness that we want it like now, and or in one of the majors. And you heard Tiger. I just want to play a schedule. Yeah. He makes up as he always did when he was at the height of his career. It's not like he was playing every single week. No. He was kind of picking and choosing what he had done. But for the Tiger Woods schedule, that's what he wants to get back on. So not just this week, but 6 weeks from now, how does he feel? 10 weeks from now, how does he feel? And more importantly, how does he feel before the majors that he's going to perform in? So I think through all that's been beaten down on him, the off-the-field issues that went on, obviously, in his personal life, and then all the surgeries that you have no control over, but then have an effect to the point, again, for those that may not know, he parted ways with his swing coach yet again, and he's had a number of swing coaches. And I remember, I think it was Jack Nicklaus, who'd been on the show many times, and it was either him or one of the former greats that said, you know what? He just needs to play his game and not worry about a swing coach. He knows how to play the game and what to do. And that's kind of what Tiger said. He said he's not going to have a swing coach through all the surgeries. It's just like any other athlete out there, either by age or by injury, you maybe can't do something you used to do. So you have to adjust. And who knows your body better than you? Nobody. So you have to feel how you have to adjust through an injury or through age. So he's been through so many surgeries and stuff that the swing that he has right now, only he's going to have the feel for it. So he basically said, no more swing coach. I'm just going to do my thing now and get the feel for how I need to hit the ball. So we all want him to be great again. He'll never be as great as he was, or I think most people do. I know some, are fine with him, being away right now, but golf is going to be better with him, and ratings are going to be way better if he's in this thing. It's just a fact. It's just, you can't get around that. So I do think people are rooting for him to at least be in it again. And how much fun it would be. Yesterday was a Pro-Am. Right. I got to play in a few of those. Green and I would play the Shell Houston Open in some. Those are a ball. I would love to play in a Pro-Am with Tiger because I would be talking anything but golf with him. Though at his point, I think he's pretty locked in on getting back into his game. So I don't know how much fun he'd have had with me. I'm not sure how chatty Tiger is, especially at this point, like trying to come back and sort of get back to that rhythm. Hey, what'd you think about Can you seriously? I'm trying to work on my 7-iron here, you know?
Tiger, we coming up to a tee box where they got a beer or a burger, something here. Like, what's going on?
Like, dude, can I just get my grip pressure just right? Can I just worry about that? He has 79 tour wins, second only to Sam Snead all time, who has 82. Obviously, he has the second most majors, 14 to Jack's 18. You just hope that, because we've seen players in this era win in their 40s, win majors in their 40s. He's just 42, so it's still possible. I don't think it's possible for him to catch Jack at this point.
Do you think it's possible to him win another major?
I think there's a possibility he could win a major.
I don't think he will. Yeah. It would be great if he did. You could update your Tiger file.
I do. I love a Tiger file of every.
Trey has a Tiger file.
Look, he was the most dominant player I've ever seen in any sport where dominance is not allowed. It's not allowed.
So that means you make a file. Do you have a file on anybody else?
No, I just
any other of the greats.
Not in that same way. I mean, I like my thing with Super Bowls. I can do all that stuff. But,
right.
You just like, for example. Everyone talks about, like, Rory McIlroy holds the record for the lowest score to par at the U.S. Open. I think it was 18 under par, and he won by 5 strokes. But honestly, when he won at Congressional in 2011 there, he had the most birdies at a birdie fest. Okay, that's what that is.
Right.
Tiger Woods won his U.S. Open at Pebble Beach at 2000. He was 12 under par.
Yeah.
Second place was 3 over.
Yeah, he won by 15 strokes.
He was playing in a different event.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, that's an insane thing. You're double digits under par. Second place is 3 over.
Yeah.
That's the Grand Canyon between first and second place. So that's where he was when he was at his best. And anyone that lived through that, whether covering it, watching it, whatever, hearing about it, it was the most amazing thing. And hopefully we'll get a little taste of it in this last stage, I believe, of his competitive career over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
that's really all you can hope for.
The only other person in a singular sport that I can think of, do you take them or the field and really mean it?
Yeah.
Is Serena Williams.
Correct. I think those two are about it. Would you, at her peak, Serena, rest of the field, Tiger, the rest of the field.
Yep.
And the only difference is with Serena, the way the brackets are shaped up, she actually won't play the rest of the field.
Exactly right.
Tiger, through 4 rounds, will actually play
everybody. Right.
the rest of the field.
True.
All right, you're making fun of me because of our Tiger file. Yeah. Coming up, our next guest has a file and an interesting story about every baseball Hall of Famer. So it's not just me. And we'll share some stories about the 4 new members in Cooperstown.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got 1 gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard. Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Timmy Kirkshin, our insider for baseball, joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, taking synthetic motor oil performances to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Timmy, thanks for getting up early with us this morning. First and foremost, I want to let you know that I've been sharing your legendary hoop skills.
Yes.
I hope you're okay with that. I've been adding to the legend of your basketball legacy.
Why would you do that?
Come on.
Really?
You know, we know, everyone that's played against you knows, the jumper that will never stop and just a pit bull on defense.
I'm 61 and I'm 5'4.5". You know what a terrible combination that is now?
Yeah, but that's the most impressive thing, Timmy.
You know what else he does? He lulls his opponents into a false sense of security by that attitude right there, Timmy. You are a genius the way you go about this.
Mama didn't raise no dummy with Timmy.
All right, Timmy, let's look at this Hall of Fame class, the 4 guys that got in. Give us something, because I know you know these guys better than anybody, something unique about these guys to you, all 4 of these guys who got in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Vlad Guerrero went to a tryout camp in the Dominican Republic on a bicycle. He was wearing 2 pairs of shoes that didn't even match, and one of the shoes was so too big for him that he had to stick a sock in there just to make his feet fit. That's how poor, that's how bad a situation he came from. He went to the tryout camp. He worked out for about 5 minutes, took a couple swings, and they said, get him off the field, sign him. He's so good. That's how they knew about Vlad Guerrero. Then there was Trevor Hoffman, who was throwing in the outfield in batting practice one day as a weak-hitting shortstop in the Marlins system, and a friend came up to him, teammate, and said, you're a terrible hitter, but you've got a great arm. You should become a pitcher. So he worked on his changeup, and a couple years later, he's pitching in the big leagues, and 25 years later, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Then there's Jim Thome, who's sitting in the crowd at Wrigley Field one day as like a 9-year-old, and somehow he sneaks past security and ends up in the Cubs dugout with about 2 minutes before the game starts. A 9-year-old in the dugout. He goes up to Dave Kingman and he goes, you are my favorite player. And Kingman says, well, that's great. You have to go. The game's going to start. So they whisked Jim Thome out, and 40 years later, he's in the Hall of Fame with 612 homers. And then Chipper Jones was going to be the number one pick by the Braves, but the Braves came to his house for a pre-draft meeting with him to see if he was signable. So the whole meeting, the whole negotiation took 30 minutes without an agent. And Chipper's dad took him upstairs and said, you're going to accept that money? They only offered one thing. You can get way more than that. And Chipper looked at his father and said, look, I want to be the number one pick in the country. I want to play right now. And he said, I'm going to be so good at this game and I'm going to make so much money, I don't need to make all of that money right up front in my first contract. So he signed number one pick in the country and is now the second number one overall pick after Ken Griffey Jr. to go to the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Well, first of all, talk about betting on yourself.
Yeah.
That's
a great story.
And you know what? I thought I was going to come back and have something with you because I have a little nugget that I will freely admit research provided me with on some of these players, and my nugget on Chipper was what you just said. So I'm not.
Wow.
Don't tempt the bear, basically. Is
oh,
what
my
you're saying.
gosh. Great
Look,
story.
Timmy, there's so much we can get into with all this, but I always thought Chipper was one of the more fascinating guys that I ever sort of had the chance to cover because I was working in St. Louis when they went up against the Braves in that NLCS that year. I just thought Chipper, the way he, for a guy named Chipper Jones, I mean, if your name is Chipper, you have to sort of carry yourself a certain way. And the way he carried himself, he could have only been named Chipper, right?
Right. I asked Bobby Cox. This is such a baseball story. I said to Bobby Cox, when did you know that Chipper Jones was going to be a good player? And he looked at me and he goes, oh, first time I saw him, that face. Oh, that face, you just know. I said, what? How do you know? He goes, just look at his face. That's a baseball player's face. And that's how they all know, believe it or not. And he was so involved in the game as a rookie. They hit him third in the order as a rookie. Yeah. And he was so ready that it was just because he was so far advanced as far as understanding of the game. Mark Teixeira recently told me Chipper's one of the smartest hitters he's ever seen. And he famously would sit in front of a computer and play a little word game on the computer every single night before the game, I guess to relax him. And then he'd look around and goes, oh, we got to run out on the field. And then he'd go run out on the field and get 3 hits. In other words, everyone else is studying film. They're all getting ready. And he's playing a word game on the computer. And then he runs out and gets 3 hits. That's just how good and how smart a hitter Chipper Jones has always been.
There are so many moments, as Timmy Kirkchen is with us, our ESPN Baseball Insider, talking about the Hall of Fame class. There are so many great moments you can point to in Chipper's career, but there's one shot for me, and I think you'll probably know where I'm going at this point, that sums up who Chipper was as a player. It was the 95 World Series, and I can't remember which game it was. I think it was a game in Cleveland, and he got this big base hit, and NBC had the slow-mo on him, and he's sitting on second base, and he sees the camera that's on him, and he just looks at the camera and just kind of winks. Like, yeah, I knew I was going to get that hit. I mean, that to me sums up who Chipper Jones was, right?
Yeah, he is the coolest customer in the world, and like I said, everybody knew it from the day he showed up because he acted like a 10-year veteran when he was a rookie. So after his rookie season, he gets surprised by Cal Ripken Jr., also a great young player, but much older, of course, than Chipper. And he brings Chipper Jones an autographed baseball after his rookie year while the Braves are in the playoffs. And the baseball said, "Congratulations, Chipper. Now comes the hard part," meaning you've had 1 year under your belt. Now you're going to have to figure out how to be really good for the rest of your career. Anyone can do it for 1 year. The key is to try to do it for 20 years, basically. So I asked Chipper about that yesterday, and he said, "I still have that baseball on my mantle. I look at it all the time. Now comes the hard part." And that's what made him so good, was the ability to adjust to whatever they were doing to him, and not many people adjusted better than Chipper Jones.
Timmy Kirkjian breaking down this Baseball Hall of Fame class with us. Again, congrats from the Veterans Committee. Jack Morris, Alan Trammell as well will be going in with these guys. But you talk about Chipper, Vlad Guerrero. There may not have been a guy who got more money for every swing that he had. Jim Thome, 6 different teams, but a lot of years with my hometown team in Cleveland. Trevor Hoffman, the 6th reliever to be in, which brings me to this question, Timmy, with Edgar Martinez, 20 votes short of being in the Hall. I've been one of those in my own Hall of Fame of my sport of football. The fact that the kickers and punters are not represented more, I think, is a joke. If there's a position on the field and you're one of the best at it, you should be in the Hall. Edgar Martinez, he going to get in the Hall next year? Will he get those votes he needs to be that DH in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame next year. Anyone who's ever gotten to 70% has gotten into the Hall of Fame. And I know you didn't mean this, Golick, but he's not a punter. He's not a kicker. He's so far beyond that.
Well, you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
I know. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
He's one of the greatest hitters
Timmy on the
I've
basketball court just showed up in this radio interview. He just gave you an elbow underneath the boards.
Yes.
No. So here's the deal with the DH. It's a part of the American League, and all Edgar Martinez ever did was take advantage of a rule that the league provided. If there had been no designated hitter, he would have played first base or third base. He probably wouldn't be very good defensively, but I think there are a lot of bad defensive players in the Hall of Fame. I don't think playing in the field would have affected his hitting, and I repeat, he's one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. Just look at the slash line, 312, 515 in slugging. There are 10 players in the history of baseball that can match all 3 of those categories that Edgar Martinez came up with. 10 in the history of the game. And you ask anyone, because I have, on those Mariner teams, those great Mariner teams, who was the most dangerous guy? It wasn't Ken Griffey Jr., who's fabulous. It wasn't Alex Rodriguez, who was fabulous. The most dangerous hitter on that team was always Edgar Martinez.
Tim Kirkjian with us. And Tim, before we run out of time here, we have to ask you, it looks like a DH is getting in before some of the greatest players we've ever seen because of their associations with the performance-enhancing era in baseball, the steroid era. We know you voted for Bonds and Clemens, but they didn't get a lot of tick up from last year in their 6th year on the ballot. Buster Olney emailed Mike, and he says he doesn't think they're getting in ever. Do you think at this point, with the way the voting has gone for them, we'll see those guys get in?
Note my hesitation here. I think they have an outside chance in their 10th year on the ballot to slide in. There certainly has been a softening among the voters because their vote totals have gone up, maybe not consistently, but they've gone from the high 30s to the mid-50s, and they've got 4 more years to go. But there still is a hardline faction of writers who say if you have a connection to PEDs, and it doesn't matter who you are, you're not getting in. So it's really going to be a close one at the end. But my warning to them is you had better get in on the writers' ballot, because if you go to a Veterans Committee ballot, a special ballot that includes a bunch of former players, including some Hall of Famers, you're not going to get any sympathy from a former player who probably played before the steroid era. Those guys are not going to be very helpful for Bonds and Clemens.
So basically, those 2 guys are, to use a parlance that we're familiar with in football, on the clock.
On the clock, 4 years, yeah.
Timmy, we appreciate it.
Oh, great stuff.
The legendary jumper still lives. Tim Kirkjian joining us. Thanks, Timmy. Appreciate you.
Okay, guys. See you.
Timmy
wow. Just the 4 stories he pulled from those guys.
Bada bing, bada bang,
oh, that was
bada
fantastic.
Boom. He's the best.
Yeah.
By the way, he's great at stories. This next story we're going to talk about, One guy is great at spitting out some quotes right now, early on to his current job. All right, we continue on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We've got Todd McShay coming up a little later. Stu Gott's in the next hour. We'll see what he's going to breathe fire on this week as he joins us. And keep the tweets coming, by the way, on the shower.
Would you shower at an airport?
Yeah.
It's available to you.
If it's available and and if you trust the area in which the shower will be taking place, sometimes nothing better.
I don't even know if I have to trust the area. If I need a shower really bad, I'll give it a go.
Okay. Just taking a shower?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, so we still have some job openings in the NFL, although we do look like we believe that Matt Patricia is going to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and Josh McDaniels will eventually settle in as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Dave Gettleman is the new general manager of the New York Giants, and of course they picked Pat Shurmur as their new head coach. And in an article in Newsday, Dave Gettleman had this to say. He said he hired Pat Shurmur because he's an adult, and he used that word more than once. Here are some of the quotes. I really believe the head coaching job for the new football Giants is a job for an adult. I'm just real excited. We had some great conversations. He's got a great sense of humor, and we're excited about where he's going. And he added, he's an adult. He's mature. He's got wisdom. This is a job for grown-ups. We're halfway through the interview, and I wrote down in my notes, this is an adult. Everybody wants the next whiz-bang kid. Let me tell you something. You look at history and see how that's worked out. This is a veteran, seasoned professional football coach. So 2 takeaways there. Number one, Sean McVay is a whiz kid. That worked out pretty well. And he's the outlier. I get it. He's the outlier. But is he talking more about Pat Shurmur or more about the guy that used to have the job with the New York Football Giants?
This kind of like Kyrie Irving saying that they had a team meeting and it worked.
Yeah.
You know, was he trolling?
Are we just too cynical, Michael?
Was he trolling Cleveland, who had the team meeting and then still got shelled by San Antonio that night? Yeah. And is this now trolling on McAdoo?
Right.
I think we're automatically a little cynical to think, okay, who's he throwing shade at right now, rather than just talking up his guy. It's almost like you can't talk up your guy without talking down somebody else anymore with little bits of shade, to see if people can figure it out. Because Manny mentioned it a lot.
More than once.
Holy smokes.
Well, it's always like whenever someone's fired and the first thing the team does when they fire a coach or general manager or, whatever, they always talk about how great he was. Look at all the things he accomplished. Yet we fired him.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to avoid that coming back on you. Like when the Red Sox fired John Farrell as their manager, they listed all his accomplishments. They were pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And then they decided, but we're going to let him go anyway.
Yeah. So maybe it was a shot at McAdoo, because certainly that locker room splintered.
There were issues. There's no question.
That's one of the big jobs that Pat Shurmur is going to have. He and the staff that he's going to hire is, does he address that? Does he just say, this is how I'm going to run my show? Everybody needs to step in line. And if they don't, then he'll get involved with it. Everybody is different on how they, do you stand up in front of that team and say, I don't know what happened here before. Don't care. New start, new coach. Let's move forward with this. So I'm not sure the way Pat Shurmur goes about it. He has had one coaching experience before this, obviously, with the Cleveland Browns. So we will see. But it seemed Dave Gettleman, as we'll get into, he talked about the pick they have coming up as well that we can get into on what they're going to do with it. We all think we know what they're going to do with it. Maybe we're not so sure now.
Or maybe he's just trying to lead us astray.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. By the way, Pat Shurmur, people say, he didn't have any success in Cleveland. He won 9 games in 2 years in
He'd
Cleveland.
have a statue in Cleveland.
Right now they would build a 12-foot statue for Pat Shurmur in Cleveland.
Right.
Coming up, we'll head down to Miami to talk to Stu Gotts, see where he's breathing fire this week, and ask him if he would take a shower in an airport.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.